Hello and welcome after a very, very long hiatus to the 32nd episode of Oblivion House Mod Hunters, where we take a look at a variety of abodes, estates, and cottages from the Imperial Province as we try and find your dream home in Cyrodiil. It has been a rather long time since our last episode, over 3 years in fact, since episode 31 aired in the spring of 2018. But we are going to, try and release more Oblivion content on the channel going forward, though for the most part, that's going to be limited to only one long-format video like this, about once every month. With 3 core Oblivion series, that means the next episode of Oblivion House Mod Hunters will be airing in maybe November? Unless, of course, people vote for more episodes. As a reminder, we do have a Patreon, where we host regular polls to decide what kind of videos get made each month. So if you'd like to see more Oblivion-related content on the channel, you can check that out at patreon.com/morrowandmodding. In the meantime, we will be doing a few Oblivion-style Mod of the Day videos, starting hopefully later this month. But with all that out of the way, as always, downlinks and timestamps are just down below, so let's begin with our first castle-themed house mod, the popular Castle Highrock by Centurion. And, you really can't have a castle-themed episode without at least one Centurion mod. After all, Centurion has made dozens of castles for Morrowind, Oblivion, and even Skyrim, ranging from Alvin Drace for Morrowind, which was basically a giant landmass mod composed of countless castles, to massive player home castles for Oblivion and Skyrim. Compared to Centurion's other work, Castle Highrock is actually one of their smaller castles, perched atop a mountain just west of Bruma, including a tiny little village along the base, with a chapel and shops and some just utterly spectacular views from the castle battlements, where you can see the province of Cyrodiil spread out before you, including notably the Imperial City. As one should expect, the Lord's Chamber atop the castle comes just fully equipped with a full balcony and rooftop gardens to just, fully take advantage of this splendorous view. But, before you can just move in and, enjoy this fantastic sight, you'll need to buy this castle first, and the price is certainly quite steep. A cost of 100,000 gold. It'll take you quite a while to save up that much, but certainly the view alone is worth it. Now, before we just, show off the interior, let's take a look at the world map, and you can see Castle Highrock is just a short ways from Bruma with a modest commute, including a map marker for, easy fast travel. And with that out of the way, let's just, take a look at what you'll actually find inside the castle, starting with the Grand Entry Hall, where you'll find a giant roaring fireplace and a dining area, where the castle's, servants take their meals. Also, in the more public-facing parts of the castle, you'll find a personal chapel, including an altar of the 9 Divines, where, you can have your ailments and afflictions cured. And there's a nice bit of detail in here, with the statues of the Divines just looking on from around the chamber. Off the Grand Entry Hall, you'll find the castle kitchens, where chefs and cooks can prepare your meals, with fully stocked cupboards and a built-in wine cellar, to provide you with, plenty of drink. Like any decent castle, there's also a guest wing, slightly separated from the rest of the castle chambers, where you can host a company or put up companions if you have any, including a private, personal lounge with a fireplace, seating, and even a lovely little garden. And upstairs, on the second floor, you'll find 2 guest bedrooms, just enough for a couple of companions, or maybe some extra staff. But moving into the more private chambers of the castle, you'll find that you have access to just a full ingredient garden and a mage's tower, with a handful of plants that you can harvest for, alchemical brews, and some otherwise just rather delightful looking gardens to stroll through, and of course, just a full alchemical lab just at the top of the staircase here. It should be noted that this alchemical equipment comes with scripting, so you can brew potions without actually having to pick anything up. Just a rather, handy little convenience feature. Finally, taking a look at the Lord's Chambers, your own personal private set of rooms at the top of the castle, includes a lounge and a dining area with a roaring fireplace and a number of bookcases, a breakfast nook just off to the side, where you can take some of your meals just away from the more boisterous activity the servants down below, a tiny little display room, and, of course, a master bedroom and a study. Overall, this wintry castle in the Jarl Mountains provides quite a few amenities and fantastic views of Cyrodiil, including a modest commute to Bruma, a map marker for fast travel, a basement training room, alchemy lab, ingredient garden, guest bedrooms, a small village with shops, a chapel with an altar of the Nine Divines, even a teleport home spell so you can get back at just any time. At a cost of 100,000 gold, it's certainly on the expensive side, but if you can afford it, Castle Highrock is just an absolutely lovely and lavish home to call your own. Moving on, we next have our newer castle-themed housing mod, Castle Nightfall by Tell Shadow. The first Oblivion mod released by Tell Shadow. This adds a new ship just outside the Imperial Prison sewers that can take you to a new world space, where you'll find a new island, a new village, and a new castle for you to call home. As a note here though, this new village is actually just cosmetic. There's no actual, new interiors here or anything like that, just a fairly scenic harbor with docks, ships, and a rather believable, looking little port. That's actually rather nicely detailed, at least in terms of the exterior. There's even a set of stables with horses that you can, use to ride up to the main castle, which is a good thing because, the castle is actually on the complete other side of the island, following a rather scenic roadway that gradually travels upwards, which provides a nice bit of verticality to the landscape here. I should mention that Castle Nightfall also comes with a variety of different weather settings for you to choose from, including Paradise, Perpetual Thunderstorm, Oblivion, and, of course, normal weather conditions, depending on what you desire. But anyway, focusing on just the castle itself, Castle Nightfall is a rather grand, imposing, almost gothic-looking castle on its own little island, connected by bridge, with numerous towers, battlements, and balconies to just give it a wonderful, delicious air of verticality, as you should expect from a mod by Tell Shadow, the author behind Fablewind and World of Morrowcraft. There's quite a bit of her trademark massive scale and creativity here, using largely vanilla and Shivering Isles assets to achieve a rather unique-looking castle, complete with a rather sizable back courtyard with gardens and some utterly fantastic and beautiful views of the ocean. Moving inside, the interior of Castle Nightfall is just every bit as grand, epic, and audacious as the exterior, with a massive entry hall, complete with gardens and imposingly large statues that opens up into the main throne room. And just real quick, I should mention that this castle abode is completely free. Just walk in and claim it as your own. And as if one giant hall wasn't enough, you'll also find a large banquet hall in a side wing, big enough to seat dozens of guests, and where you could host some just truly epic parties if you so desire, with lots of dining space to the sides and a clear central area for dancing or just other festivities. Moving into the private quarters though, you'll come across a rather sizable personal library with honestly a fair bit of verticality, with bookcases that go up high along the walls, not to mention a study, and really the atmospheric lighting in here is just utterly excellent. And indeed, the lighting throughout the castle really just, fantastically sets the mood. As you would expect, there's also a master bedroom here, but rather surprisingly, this is a fairly small bedroom, with just a bed, a couple of small gardens, a desk, display case, and a walk-in closet, with a fair bit of storage. Though, just down the hall from the bedroom, you will find a larger, storage chamber with dozens of chests that you can use to organize and sort your various bits of loot, armor, and weapons. But moving on to some of the other, features here, off in a set of side chambers, you'll come across a magical laboratory with altars of enchanting and spellmaking for you to use, not to mention an alchemy lab with a full set of alchemical gear, some storage for ingredients, and just all the, other base necessities that a mage or wizard might need. There's quite a few other rooms and services here, from a training hall to a tiny little display room, a set of relaxing bathing chambers, a gallery of paintings, ingredient garden, and quite a few other large and epic rooms that mostly serve a cosmetic function. But overall, Castle Nightfall is just an absolutely beautiful and atmospheric castle to make your own, with a lovely little island, a cosmetic village, tons of practical features like altars of spellmaking, enchanting, lots of storage, an alchemy lab, ingredient garden, a display room, and just a whole lot more. This is a grand and epic castle, and if that's something you're looking for, you might just want to give this one a try. But finally, for our underrated castle housing mod, we have Wolfdol's Castle Virtue by Wolfdol. Now, this is actually just a bit different from the other two mods in today's video, because it actually replaces an existing fort, Fort Virtue, with a new castle, instead of just adding an all-new castle in a new location. This is actually, kind of a really neat and immersive way to add a new castle to the game. After all, it has never made any sense how all the ring forts around the Imperial City, arguably the most important city in all of Tamriel, are somehow abandoned. Like, how does the Empire even function if they can't even provide protection around their own capital? It doesn't make any kind of sense. But in any event, this is a fairly small castle with a simple courtyard and stables, and when you first arrive, the Legion is actually in the process of pulling out and abandoning it due to some recent orders from the Chancellor, and you have to wonder if maybe he's responsible for the rather poor conditions of the forts around the Imperial City. But anyway, if you're famous enough, you can buy the castle for about 50,000 gold, a fairly hefty price, but one that comes with a full complement of guards, servants, and support staff. Real quick, let's just take a look at the map here, and, obviously Castle Virtue is very close to the Imperial City, just across Lake Rumer, and of course, it also comes with a map marker. Now, before we take a closer look at the interior, I do want to feature, some of the NPC staff, because there's really quite a lot here. One of the things you're in charge of is protecting the region from bandits, and this actually generates profit. So you can send your soldiers out to go bandit hunting to generate just a bit of an income. There's also a merchant with 5,000 bartering gold, as well as repair options and training. And he even has a bit of new dialogue, but as a note here, all the new NPCs have silent dialogue. There's no new voice acting here. Like the other castle mods that we've looked at today, Castle Virtue, of course, comes equipped with a training room. But unlike those other mods, there's actually a personal trainer here, who can give you a special training in a handful of skills, and even spar with you with scripted, non-lethal combat, allowing you to practice your skills in relative safety. Simply just step off the rug to end the combat session. But moving on, Castle Virtue also has just a rather tiny little magical lab, but one that has quite a few features, including a personal mage that can sell you ingredients with 3,000 bartering gold, as well as a scripted alchemy set, a soul collector, where you can put souls in a bottle and, then fill soul gems, a statue that provides both spellmaking and enchanting services, and of course there's also, labeled ingredient containers. Now, checking out the rest of this castle player home, the first thing you'll see is a small entry hall, where most of the rooms and chambers can, be accessed. And I should note that each room of this castle comes with scripted lighting that you can turn on or off if you so desire. And like any good house mod, there's a display room just above the merchant's chambers, but it's a bit on the smaller side, just about a half dozen display cases for you to use. But you have to remember, Castle Virtue was originally built for the Imperial Legion. It was designed for function over aesthetics and comfort, so, it kind of makes sense. But, in any event, there is just a rather nice little guest bedroom here, where you could put up one of your companions, if you have one. But otherwise, the only other bedroom in the entire castle is the master bedroom, which isn't massive, but does come with just a lot of amenities, including just a nice little garden with an altar of the 9 divines, plenty of storage, a couple of bookcases, a desk, and a master bed. You can even sort your weapons, armor, and artifacts using some scripted storage features, which is, just kind of a, neat little bonus here. Finally, there's also a rooftop access, providing just a truly amazing view of Lake Rumere and the Imperial City. Overall, while Castle Virtue may be the smallest of today's castle mods, it certainly packs, I think, the most features, with lots of NPC services, a way to generate a castle income, scripted interior lighting, spellmaking, enchanting, an alchemy lab, storage with scripted sorting, a guest bedroom, training room, and just a lovely vista, all within just a decent commute to the Imperial City. If you wanted to replace one of those useless abandoned forts with something a little more just functional and homey, this is just, this is a great mod to check out here. But anyway, that's pretty much it for today. So, as always, downlinks are just down below. And we also have a link down below where you can submit theme suggestions for, the next episode of Oblivion House Mod Hunters. And real quick, I would just, I would like to take a moment to thank our patrons for making this video possible, including Area 5/Sunbalmean, Billy Fighter, Quiwi, Cyprinius, Danae, Daliant, Danina, Yame, Alcazo, Castornau, Julian, Langastier, Macbone, Melchior Dog, Knock Cascade, Old Navy Twidget, Operator Jack, Port Q's, Povey Holo, Raven Talon, Rissalith, Shadow Banished Wine, Shooter, Circuit Cat, Stiff Kitten, Talvani with 1,000 nicknames, and a 2-timing Trauma Rude. If you'd like to join them, check out our rewards, including early access, behind-the-scenes content, and access to polls to, decide what kind of content we showcase. Visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/moronmodding. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe, stay healthy, happy modding, and I'll see you all next time.